Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 3 of my Rome Total War Brutii short campaign walkthrough with me, Gitbag. Now, last time we left off, we'd just crushed a rebel army on the border of between Apollonia and Salona, and I just conquered Salona with an army mostly made up actually of mercenaries. And so I've now opened up a large part of the modern day Yugoslavian coast to my control. Now, even though my economy is quite low on funds, I've only got 2,500 denarii. I'm going to build communal farming in the city of Thermon anyway, because it'll keep the population happy, and it will keep them well fed as well. So just build that, and pretty soon I'm probably actually going to have to advance further into the interior of Greece. I haven't got that many forces remaining in Greece. Only like a few regiments of light infantry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my other general, who I sent to the region, down, and I'm going to get him to lead the army going into the interior of Greece. Now, I'm a little bit low on funds, so I probably might have to ransack a couple of Greek towns.
Fleet ready! Fleet ready! Fleet ready!
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this fleet here and use them to transport some reinforcements over to Greece. Then I'm going to use that fleet to blockade the port of Sparta. Hopefully that should take a bit of pressure off my naval forces.
Imperator! Move out! Moves depleted, sir! General! Move out! Forward! Forward!
Not much happening on at the moment, because like I said at the start of the campaign, you're not going to be doing much, but at the same time, I haven't actually got that much forces remaining in Greece, because I had to kind of spread them out in order to conquer the Yugoslavian coastline. So just gonna organise a trade deal with the Germans. That should get a bit of extra revenue flowing in. Send my diplomat further north. The best I can do at the moment is just sort of mass my forces together with my best general here, my faction here, with my main army of light infantry here, and I'm also going to send over a regiment of spearmen being transported by the navy as well. I'm just going to build a governor's palace in my capital, because the population of that city is increased, and basically when the population of a town or city is increased enough, you build a governor's palace or a governor's villa or whatever in order to increase the size of the settlement and make sure that you can build the necessary buildings to accommodate the increased size of the population.
Prepare to ambush!
So our economy is actually going up quite nicely and quite quickly.
Fleet ready! Yes, Captain! Leaving the army!
Last turn it was only on 1,100 denarii, but now it's on 3,300. So things are looking quite nice.
Merging armies! No more moves, sir! Orders! Orders!
I'm just going to build up a force of skirmishers in the town of Thermon, just to give it some protection. Because I've taken all the troops that were garrisoned in there out of there in order to provide an attacking force with which to push into the interior of Greece. So I'm going to build a wall and some roads around Salona in order to just give it a bit of basic protection, and in order to get some trade revenue going into the settlement. And next turn, I'm going to build a governor's palace for Croton, my other main city, because the population of that city is increased as well. So, gathered my main army near Thermon. End of turn. Let's see what we can do against the Greeks when we're finally able to move out.
Ambush in place. Move out. Move depleted, sir.
Now, it seems the Macedonians have decided to declare war on the Greeks as well, because you can see they've taken over the city of Corinth, a very famous ancient Greek city, and I don't want to piss them off too much because they've got quite powerful forces. I mean, the closest force they've got to Thermon is a force of militia hoplites, very low quality, but also quite numerous troops. So I don't want to piss them off too much just yet, otherwise I'll just get swamped with hoplites, and I don't want that to happen this early on in the game when I'm so spread out. So just building Governor's Palace for Croton, moved my army up, and get my navy to blockade the port of Sparta. Next turn. It seems like the Brits are attacking Germany. The Britons are a tricky foe, actually, surprisingly. Naturally, in history, they only they lived on the British Isles, but in Rome Total War, it's just like absurd. They create huge navies and they just invade and conquer all of Germany and Gaul. And like, if you don't establish strong enough borders, and in the north, if you're playing as the Romans, then you are screwed. So I'll organise some trade deals with the Britons as well. So my diplomat further north. Alright, the Governor's Palace at Tarentum is finished. I'm going to build some sewers there in order to promote public health. And build some mine. Actually, no, I'm going to build a barracks at Salona. Move my army up. Alright, Athens is now garrisoned by a rebel army. So no one will mind if I take it, I don't think. So I'm going to build a couple of siege towers to attack Athens, and that will take 2 turns to build. Hopefully, the Macedonians won't find it in their hearts to sort of attack me in the rear while I'm besieging Athens. But, you know, you can never know. You always have to, I think, attack cities with infantry in Rome Total War, because cavalry are designed for, open space warfare, quick, flexible manoeuvring. They're not designed for siege warfare, so don't ever send in a force of cavalry to attack a city, because it won't end well for you. Alright, so I've just declared war on the Gauls by besieging their port, but I couldn't refuse it because the Roman Senate ordered me to. And this is something quite interesting. I've just seen a Roman Senate moved out of the province of Rome, or Latium, as it says on the minimap, because I'm not sure. I think it's because there was a rebel army there, or there was a Gaul army that had invaded.
Noble master?
But either way, you don't actually usually see the Senate do pretty much anything. I mean, they've got like they've got 2 big armies, and I think they've been using them recently to fend off invasions into Julii territory here, which just shows how poorly my Julii allies have been doing. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get on to the next turn and see if we can take Athens. Alright. Athens, you're mine. Now, before we go in, I'm going to equip myself with some archers, some peltasts. Now, let's do this.
Engage the enemy.
This would be an interesting battle because I've got like a 2-to-1 advantage, but at the same time, unlike in the last two town battles I fought, this town, Athens, is defended by big stone walls, so I've had to build siege towers to attack their walls, and that's, that's a bit of a problem because when you're attacking walls,
The gods have
you have to
await my order.
attack as broadly as possible because the enemy will be equipped with defense towers,
Leave the tower.
and they will be pelting you with arrows the whole time. So my advice is when you're attacking a town with walls, with siege towers, you attack with as much heavy infantry as you possibly can.
Has started. Units,
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my archers and mercenaries, so I'm going to just spread them out. They're expendable, I don't care if they get mulched up. Their main aim is to draw the fire from my infantry, and that's what you want to do when you're in enemy territory with a small force of infantry like I've got, that you can't really retrain and replenish as of yet. You want to just maybe buy a couple of regiments of mercenary skirmishers like these peltasts and these archers, spread them out, and send them to draw the fire of the enemy's guard towers. I'm going to set the archers to fire mode as well, so they fire flaming arrows, just for a bit of extra effect. Set them onto fire at will. And also, it's a good idea to send your archers forwards in front of the siege towers, because then they'll draw the fire of the guard towers, which will also be firing flame arrows to burn down your siege towers. Now, that doesn't actually usually happen too often, I don't think, but it can happen, so, you've got to make a contingency plan for that. And that's why I send in my skirmishers ahead of the siege towers, in order to give my troops going in a bit of covering fire. See, the archers are pinning down those peltasts there. Now the towers are within the firing arc of those guard towers.
This is a step on the path to victory. The towers are at the walls.
So now I can begin my assault on the walls. I'm just going to speed it up just so it doesn't take too long. Because unfortunately it does take a long ass time for the troops to get up the towers, and that can be a bit of a trouble when you're attacking the kind of walls where there's an angle where their guard towers can fire diagonally at you. That and your towers have the likelihood of being burnt down. That's a big problem, and you definitely have to factor that into account when you're attacking a town. So my men are onto the wall finally. Get one regiment of those guys to take the gatehouse. Get the other to push those peltasts off of the walls.
Our soldiers have captured the walls. Now is the time to press on and capture this place.
So now the gates are mine. I'm going to send my men in en masse, the remaining reserves en masse, in order to just punch through the gatehouse and crush the forces behind it. And that's kind of what you want to do when you've got these small forces and you're attacking a town with this kind of like numerical advantage of like 500 men to 250. Just take the gatehouse as quickly as possible, and then just rush in and overwhelm the gate guards as fast as possible. So you see there, those hoplites are holding their own, but they've seen... But because there are so many there, they just panic and just run. So I'm going to set my men on a waypoint to go into the city, because that way then they'll have less of a chance of being shot at by artillery. Unfortunately, I will lose quite a few men from their towers, but I don't have time to bother myself with taking them. So I'm just going to send my men rushing into the centre of town. You can see here they are taking a bit of a battering from those arrowed guard towers. But now I'm out of their range and I'm inside the city. My men are beginning to get a bit winded, but I had to rush them out of there in order to avoid the fire from those guard towers. And you will actually have to be a bit reckless sometimes when you're attacking a town like this.
So the spirit of his army is broken too.
Okay. So my men are very tired, but I've got to crush this last regiment of hoplites. There are 2 of them. Alright. I know how to take these guys on. I'm going to split my men up again.
To fill the heart of the enemy general with fear. Now he
Why my general just charged in there head on like that, I have no idea. Sometimes he will do that. In fact, actually, if you don't want your troops to pursue the enemy, you put them on guard mode, which is this button here. That might help you quite a bit, because when I first started playing this game, I had troops sort of chasing the enemy, going out into the open, then getting surrounded and pummeled. So take that into account. Right, now the enemy's surrounded, and the general's dead.
The enemy general is killed.
Attack them from the front with some troops, and then attack from behind with the rest of my infantry. My men are tired, but now I've got the enemy surrounded. Those guys facing the front of the hoplites would suffer quite a bit, but now the enemy is surrounded and they have no chance. See, when you surround an enemy regiment, even if it's a hoplite regiment, the psychological effect of being surrounded will decrease their combat effectiveness and make it easier for your men to cut them down. So, I've lost about half of my men, but they've lost 90% of theirs. If I hadn't, you know, surrounded their last remaining vestige of resistance in the centre of town, I would have suffered even worse. But that's always something you have to take into account when facing someone with a lot of spearmen phalanx infantry on Rome Total War. Attack the front of them with some expendable infantry and then attack the behind with some tougher infantry if you're incapable of doing anything else. Or actually maybe even attack the front of their phalanx with heavy infantry and attack the behind with lighter infantry that are less capable of taking those troops head on. Look at that, they've got 1 spearman left. Yeah, what's he going to do against like over 200 men at least? Not much, it would seem.
Victory, worthy of Rome and her armies. Our soldiers have done well.
So it was an average victory, but that's to be expected, to be honest, because it did suffer a really bad battering from the enemy guard towers. But if it hadn't attacked with the siege towers together, spread out in that way, it would have suffered much worse.
Rome has conquered.
So I'm going to enslave that populace, because while I would prefer to just occupy the town, that town had a much greater level of social unrest against me. So by enslaving their population, I've created a bit of extra revenue by creating trade for slave labour, and I've also decreased the amount of public disorder in Athens. But more importantly, I've conquered Athens, one of the major trading cities of the ancient world. Now, when you conquer a city, I would always suggest building a farm first, but when you conquer somewhere like Athens, or Sparta, or one of the cities here in western Greece, or western Turkey, I know, terrible geography, I would suggest building up its ports first, because, you know, they're great trading centres, always do that, and I guarantee you'll build up funds faster than you can think. So, yeah, it's a bit tougher to attack a town with stone walls, but I would suggest sending in your mercenaries to draw the fire of the guard towers so that your attack troops don't suffer such heavy casualties. Or, if you have enough abundance of mercenaries, use them to man the guard towers instead, and then send your main army of more valuable troops in behind as a reserve force. And definitely when you've got only a slight numerical advantage like I did there, like you'll see, like when I captured the gatehouse, I just sent all of my men in en masse. I just overwhelmed the guards at the gate. That I would strongly suggest in order to prevent yourself from getting pinned down by the guard towers at the gate and mown down by their arrows. So that was successful. I got another regiment of spearmen at my capital, and things are looking pretty up. This episode, I know, was a bit dull, and I apologise for that, but considering now that the road to Sparta is relatively open, the next episode should hopefully be a little bit more action-packed. But regardless, until next time, I hope you've learnt something, have fun, take care, and I'll see you next time on the battlefield.